So, I wanted to share something. I typically talk about topics related to other people, but I wanted to share something about my self love and self care journey. I talked about the single bliss a few months ago, which for me is authentic and real. I enjoy being single right now. I really think it's wonderful. But I realized there was something missing in my life, and I didn't know what it was. And through a lot of um, soul searching, if you understand what I mean by that, and I just introspection, I realized that I had to make a change in the way that I think about certain things. And one of the things I had to change was the way that I respond to my own choices in life. I realized that I can no longer be so critical of myself when I find that I've made a decision that didn't serve me well. Typically, a lot of us are very understanding of other people's mistakes, and we're so generous, and we're very, very gracious, and we're understanding. We'll say, I know what you mean. I know it. You didn't do it on purpose, and you understand. But I heard myself one day. I heard the way I was speaking to myself one day. And I stopped in my tracks and I said, I'm very understanding of other people, and it's time for me to be understanding of myself. And I want to admit that a lot of it's all internal. It's where everything starts. A lot of peace came over me when I accepted myself even when I wasn't perfect. Even when I made a mistake in judgment, there was a lapse in judgment. When I did something for the 15th time that I said I wouldn't do again, I said, I don't know how I made that mistake. I said I wouldn't do that. And I had to admit that I deserve grace. I deserve understanding. I deserve forgiveness, patience. And I gave it to myself. Because what would I do in the past? Maybe some people do the same thing. I'd be very, very hard on myself. I'd talk to myself about why would you do that? And I'd remember what my standard was and my expectation of the day or of that moment, and why was it that I wasn't able to measure up? And so that's what I used to do. But now I allow myself to have that mistake made and move on. Yes, I used to forgive myself, but I used to always go through a process of frustration and anger before I got to the place of, whoa, things happen. Well, guess what? I no longer go through that frustration, anger, hostility, whatever other emotions I would have come up. I just give myself grace. And you know what? I find that I'm way happier than ever. I'm more peaceful than ever. I just feel great, and it's real. And my choices are better because a lot of us were raised in homes where we were not allowed, there was no space for a mistake. There was no room, for a mistake. Does that mean I'm blaming my parents for how I live? I'm acknowledging how I was raised and how it did serve me well in this particular area. And it didn't. So I recognize that learning also involves the acceptance of mistakes. And so I was not permitted to make mistakes without some kind of punishment or consequence for my mistake that was unnecessary. And so I guess I internalized it. I took that with me. You know, you pack your bags when you move out. And I guess I packed my bags and included this way of living that says mistake-free zone, mistakes not permitted, mistakes not allowed. And so now I don't live that way. There are definitely areas that I have to still extend the grace to. I'm a work in progress in this area, but I can say I've made leaps and bounds, very big changes. And along with those changes, as again, I'll say it again, came the peace. So if anybody out there struggles with any kind of issue, whatever it is, step back for a second and recognize that you're allowed to make a mistake or two every now and then. And give yourself a space to grow. That's what learning is about. And so there is such a thing as growth. And growth involves change. And so when we give ourselves space to make mistakes, we also give ourselves space to change and space to grow.